Okay, so again, there's a chat box on the side. We'll try and leave like a 10 to 15 minute window in the end for questions. So if you guys have questions, just type them in the chat box for now, and then we'll do our best to answer them for you. But this week, we're going to talk to you all about setting your new consultants off on a good track. You know, you want them making sure that they're set up for success so that they stick around longer and that it creates more duplication in your team and organization, and overall just like gonna be great for them in the long run. Okay, so I guess we'll get right into it. Hang on, I just need to switch my view here. I don't know what's going on. Am I on the screen? Because I see Ashley on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, now I see Marnie on the screen. Am I on the screen, you guys?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna change my view then. I don't know why I did that. Hang on. There's like background noise. There we go. All right, sorry guys. All right, so I have you muted for now just in case. Sorry about that. All right, so I just wanted to jump right into it. Basically, obviously, like I said, we're gonna be talking about this week starting your new consultants off on a strong start. Before I get into this, I want to tell you guys, like, I mean, and I'm sure you've realized this too since you've been with Sensi. Since I've been with Sensi, I have like trained my new consultants so differently than when I first started. When I first started, you know, sponsoring people, I barely sent them an email. And so, you know, I actually switched up my training process a few different times already. Just like everything, like my team always hears me say, it's all trial and error. So if something's not working or you find that like your consultants, like maybe they're joining and they're not really doing much and they're kind of just like, and you're getting frustrated and you're like, what's going on? You know, you sometimes have to take a step back instead of being like, well, they're not working. That was the mentality I used to have. But when I switched my mindset to like, what more can I do to set them up effectively? Maybe it's a way that I'm training them or not training them or whatever. And when I kind of switched my mindset on that, I realized like what needed to change, and I saw an immediate difference. Okay, so like I said, before I get into this, like I want to say real quick, like when I joined, for a long time, I would just send people emails, and I didn't really have much connection with them afterwards, like after they joined. Like, I mean, I talked to them about their launch party. If they were local, I went to their launch party, but there really wasn't much connection after that. It was mainly just like on the team page, I give them shout outs and do like, you know, typical stuff that we do every day, but I didn't really like check in with them or anything like that. And my connection. And then as of this past January, actually, so like almost 2 years later, a year and a half later, I decided when my new consultants came on to actually get them on FaceTime or a Zoom call if they were local, or if they're in person, I'd get together in person with them. But I like the idea of a call anyway, because I feel like it holds them more accountable than you guys just going for coffee and training them. I mean, you can do that too, but for some reason I like the idea of getting them face to face, like via a call or a Zoom or a FaceTime or something like that. And it's a little awkward at first, especially if you're not used to getting on FaceTime with people, but I think the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And they are going to start to, you know, kind of look to you in that light, because they're going to take you seriously. So anyway, some of the things that I think as far as starting your new consultant, let me start that again. Starting your new consultants off strong. Why it's so important is that, one, it creates duplication within your organization. That's the reason why we sponsor people, because we want our businesses to grow. We want our teams to grow, and we want, you know, our new team members to be doing the same thing ultimately. So sponsoring people ultimately is going to be the best thing that you're going to do for your business. So you want to make sure that you are starting your new consultant strong anyway. If you think about it, other companies like large corporations and things like that, they all have a process and a system to when you, let's say you start a new job, they have a process or a way of doing things, whether it's a cashier, like a clerk at a grocery store, they have a process of doing things. If you're an administrative secretary, there's a way of doing things. Like, there's a system. So I know a lot of times, like, people are like, oh, I'm not a systems person. It's probably because you haven't found a system that works for you. And we kind of did touch on this like a couple weeks ago, I think on the first call. But like, no matter what it is, you have to create an easy, simple system for new consultants so that they can then replicate it to their consultants. You have to teach them like a simple action for them to be able to repeat over and over and over. So try not to make it too complicated. Okay. So let me backtrack. For when I first started, I barely sent people an email. And then when I was like, then I started sponsoring more, and I was like, I'm going to get on my game and I'm going to teach new consultants everything. And I'm going to do this. Then I started to overwhelm people. So when I got people on FaceTime, as of this past January, actually, I'd get them on FaceTime and I'd break out my binder called New Consultants. And I'd literally tell them every single thing that I know with Scentsy. I'd be like, this is Shooting Star, and this is Sensational Star, and that's getting certified, and their brains would be spinning. And by the time we were done on the call, all of that information was gone. And then they'd come back to me for questions over and over and over. So I think no matter what, you have to find something that's simple, straight to the point when it comes to training your new consultants, and making sure that they understand it, and kind of like spoon feeding it to them like in the beginning until they really are grasping it. Now, you're going to have people who are going to take the reins right on their own, and they're going to pick things up on their own. And obviously that's great. Those are going to be people who you're going to want to keep an eye out for anyway, which is next week what we're going to be chatting more about, which is building and identifying leaders. But like, some people literally need you to kind of like give them bite-sized information. Not everybody learns the way that you do as well. And that was something actually that stuck out to me at leadership at NYC. Was that they said, people learn differently. So I find too that a lot of times we get frustrated because we're like, oh my God, this person doesn't know how to go print out labels. Like, who doesn't know how to print out labels? Like, not everybody is computer savvy like you are, It may be easy for you, but it may not be easy for someone else. So you just have to find a way, to make sure that you are providing resources for your consultants, while being as simple as you can for them, and effective for them. Okay. New consultants are the most impressionable too. I know we kind of touched on this a little last week, but I feel like a lot of these topics go hand in hand. Like, one hand washes the other when it comes to this business with training and leadership and all this other stuff. But they're the most impressionable. So it's very hard to like reignite the fire in someone who's lost it. Rather, a new consultant coming in, you can kind of create that culture that you want them to see and repeat in their own business. So if they don't see results right away, more than likely they're going to give up. So you have to find a way to teach them how to get results instead of, of course you're going to be helping them, but there's a difference between teaching somebody how to get results versus helping them get the results. Okay. Are you helping them? Of course, because you're their sponsor, you're guiding them, but you have to teach them how to find the answer on their own. That's going to be like the number one thing that's going to help your new consultants off to like a good start, is making sure that they are the ones who are doing these tasks that you're giving them. Okay. So some ways, and I have some notes, that's why I keep looking that way, if you guys are wondering. But being a great sponsor, okay, you're making a commitment. When you sponsor somebody, you're making a commitment to sponsor and to guide them, okay? So I always say don't sponsor irresponsibly. Like, if you're looking to just sponsor people just to grow your team or your business, obviously we all want to grow our team and our business, but like, if that's your motive, then it's going to be way harder for you to like really sit down and figure out how this business can help someone and how you can help them through finding those, asking those things out. Okay. But you're going to make those commitments by guiding them, by doing coaching calls here and there. So if you haven't done them already, I suggest, starting, and these are things that we could kind of talk more about in this program and even on this call today if you guys have questions. But coaching calls with income producing activities, which we're going to touch on in a little bit. Attending their launch parties or even other events from time to time, like not that I go to other consultants' parties, but like if a consultant came to me and I felt like they really like wanted this and they were like, hey, can you come help me at my party? I would be more than happy to do it as long as they're allowed into my schedule, if I know it's going to benefit them and help them. And even I started doing this too, not too long ago, was having them attend parties with me or attend vendor shows with me or even opportunity conversations from time to time. Sometimes that could get a little touchy because I don't know, if there's a third person there, depending on who the person is, it really depends on the situation. But like having them really be there like with you to see you in action is what is going to help them get the most like hands-on. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a very hands-on person. Like when it comes to learning, I have to like physically do it in order to grasp it. And sometimes people are just like that. So if you are doing a party and you have team members, you could always open it up to your team members and be like, hey guys, I have a home party this month, and I'd be more than happy to take someone along. Whoever wants to come with me, feel free. You don't even have to give them anything, but you can even give them like a little goodie or something if they want. Even if they want, you don't even have to. But and those people who will be like, oh yeah, I want to go, that'll kind of stand out to you too. And I think as long as if you mention it to your hostess, like, hey, I'm going to be bringing somebody with me, it's usually not an issue. But things like that so that they can see you firsthand, how you're working your business, how you're doing parties, how you're doing events, so that they can grasp it and they can go out there and start that too, okay? You want to make sure you're working closely with them over their, 30 to 70 days. 30 days at minimum, I'd say. You want to obviously check in with things like that. Making sure you're providing resources for them rather than giving them the answer. So a lot of times as we sponsor people, we think that we're like, they're coming to us for a million questions over and over and over, and then you find you're repeating yourself over and over, you're answering the same questions, and then you start to get frustrated. And you don't want to do that because you're going to set that out on them. So what I like to do is the 24-hour rule, which is not responding to people give them at least 24 hours to have them find the answer on their own. Because more than likely the questions that you're going to get are, how do I print out labels? When do we get paid? What kind of thing is this? What's included in the warmer of the month? Blah, 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 blah. And it's not to say that you can't help your new consultants or answer them, but you have to find, when you're training new consultants, it's only going to be better for you as your organization grows. Because think about it too, when your guys' organization grows, you're going to have people who you didn't even sponsor are going to come to you for those same types of questions because their sponsor is not guiding them properly, or maybe they just have a connection with you, or whatever the case is. Especially once you get to that leadership status where people view you as like, the person that they go to for guidance, you're going to have a lot of people who ask you those questions, and you're going to want to pull your hair out. It's just the way that it is as you grow. So you have to, you control, just the way you control your calendar, you control the way you communicate with people. If you, like, I always relate it back to the jobs that I used to do. So I used to work in an office, and I'm like, if I was sitting at my desk in an office and I got an email and I got like 50 emails that popped up, would I sit there and respond to every single email one after another? No, I'd probably like respond to one email, go around, do some things, do whatever I have to do, get back to another email later. Like, it's sort of the same thing. You do not have to be at anybody's beck and call in this business. And so I think if you make that clear though in the beginning with your new consultants, it's going to be a lot like, easier, because you're not going to feel obligated to them. Like, and it all starts with the recruiting process. So if you're having conversations with someone, and I know that like if someone, because I do it too, if someone is thinking about joining and they're asking me a question about joining, I answer them right away because I want them to join, right? So it's okay to let them wait a little bit, because if you sit there and answer question after question after question, and then all of a sudden they join and you're not present for them the way you've been when you've been trying to get them to join, they're going to be like, oh, okay, what is she not responding to me now because I joined or something? So you control that. There's no reason, there's nothing stating that you have to respond to people right away, okay? So I usually wait at least 24 hours because more than likely they're going to find the answer out on their own. And also, like I said, it's going to give you a bit of sanity, and then you can prioritize who you're responding to. So your customers, your hosts, all those things, honestly, like I hate Facebook Messenger, but I feel like in this world, we just live on Facebook Messenger and text messaging. So like I'll have messages unread that I won't even touch until I'm ready to go and respond to them, until it fits into my schedule. Because as your group grows, as your business grows, like I said, it's only going to get more difficult to kind of maintain all that. So just kind of establish that in the beginning. And it's fine to even let your new consultants know what they can expect, how often, what's the best form of contact. And, you can tell them you'll try and respond to them within 24 hours or whatever kind of, you don't really have to put it out there, but you'll feel each person out as you go. And getting them off to a fast start. Like I said, they need to be making money. If they're not making money right away, more than likely they're going to fall off because they're going to get discouraged and they're going to be like, yeah, this wasn't for me. I'm not going to do this. So if this has happened to you before and you feel like you've sponsored people and nobody's doing anything, right? Instead of being like, nobody's doing anything, this sucks. One, you have to go out and recruit more people. And then two, you have to switch up your way of training them and really think about how are you setting them up for success, okay? So some quick things, pointers that I'm going to touch on, and then I'll kind of tell you what I'm going to do, or what I do rather. Their home launch party right away needs to be, like it has to happen. Their home launch party, not on Facebook, not like a month or two later, a home launch party within 13 days of them joining. And I will tell you guys, when I used to just be like, oh, I'm going to recruit this person. Yeah, girl, join. And then she can do her launch party whenever she wants. Now I make it a point so that they are strategically joining around their launch party. I'm actually in the process of talking to somebody right now who could join right now if she wanted to, but I'm having her wait until a certain day in the month because she's going to have her launch party in the middle of the month. So I know I want to make sure that she is joining around her launch party so that she has time to hit her shooting star, because I know with her home launch party, she's more than likely going to hit her shooting star, if not get close to it. Right now we're in November. So you really have to think about, this all really starts from as the sponsoring conversations that you're having with them. So make sure that when you're talking to them as they're joining, you're mentioning the fact that they should be having a home launch party. And maybe you kind of touch on their new consultant goals in the beginning, because these are all going to be questions that are going to be coming up anyway, So, and if they haven't come up, it's before they join, I at least talk to them about Shooting Star, because I don't really want to overwhelm them when recruiting, but like talk to them about Shooting Star and the importance of it, and that's why they need to have a launch party. And then plan their join date, within 13 days of that time. I say 13 so that they have a little bit of leeway after their 15th or after their launch party to close out any remaining orders or anything. But a home launch party, also like making sure you're reminding them of their goals and why they joined Scentsy. So that's like really crucial, as they join on, that you understand why. And this is probably something that you should have chatted with them about before they joined, but always revisit that like after they joined and stuff like that. Also by celebrating every single victory of theirs, big or small. I mean, I will even give people little quick texts. Like if I saw someone went live on Facebook, I'd text them and I'd be like, girl, I just saw you went live. That was so awesome. Like, I love watching your videos. And they're going to be like, what? Even little things like that. Like recognition does not have to cost anything, but that's going to be one of the biggest things you can do, especially for your new consultants, because they're most impressionable. And when they feel valued and loved, that's going to make them stay. People join Scentsy for the money, but they stay for the connection. So if you can find a way to immediately make them feel valued, like I said, it's going to be much better. And try to remember what it was like for you as a new consultant when you came into this too. What were some of the things that you did? And I think too, like for us, because we know so much now that we've been with Scentsy for however long, we think that like we need to like tell this to everybody when they're joining, but all you need to do is keep it simple. And like I said, I got to a point where I was telling everybody, like telling my new consultants so much. So now I just literally spoon feed them information and I keep it very simple. Okay. Okay, so real quick, how are we on time here? Oh my God, I've been talking for so long already. I'm sorry, guys. So before they join, like I said, these are things you're going to want to kind of make sure that you are talking about before they join. You want to talk about why they want to join Scentsy. Obviously, that's going to help you recruit them. Talk to them as if they're a consultant, like with their goals and things that they have, like shooting star, obviously, making sure that they know, joining around the launch party date, and then also finding out their expectations of their business. This is something that I didn't ask people for a long time. But I switched it up like not too long ago. I'd tell people, what is it that you were looking to get out of this business? And not only why did you want to join, but like really, what do you expect to get out of this? Are you looking to supplement your income? Are you looking to just make some extra cash? What's your schedule like right now? These are types of things that I ask people. Like, what's your schedule like right now? How much do you think you could devote to like parties? Do you work full time? Okay, yes, you work full time. What are your hours right now? How often do you think you could party each month? Like, I really get them thinking in the beginning. And if it's not like right before they join, it's right after they join that I have these conversations with them, because you want to know and you want to make notes about it and stuff like that, so that it's easier for you to check in with them and train them. Okay. Like once they're a consultant, it's going to be a lot easier for you to help them. If you know, let's say somebody is, they want to supplement their income, then you know what you have to do to help them. And that's, they need to have parties on their calendar. They got to start recruiting. Like, it's things that are going to help them build their business based off of things that you're already doing. Okay. So as far as like, now they're joined, like, we're ready to go kind of thing. All right. Make sure, well, I actually didn't used to do this. Scentsy now has the first things first checklist, and thank God that they have that, because that makes the training process so much easier. So all you have to do now, and this is literally all I do, is I used to send an email filled with like everything. When I look back at like the amount of things that I was overwhelming people with, it was crazy. It was like before my launch party, during my launch party, after my launch party, all those documents like on the business references. Oh my gosh. So now I just send the first things first checklist. Even though it's on their home screen, I still send them like a welcome email from myself. And I say like, hey guys, blah, 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 blah. I forget what I say. I could even share it in the group, in the Accelerated Leadership group. I could share the email that I send. But anyway, so I send that with the first thing first checklist, and I tell them, here's your first things first checklist. You'll also find it on your workstation, on your home screen. Go ahead and start on this, and then we'll catch up on our call in such and such. And I schedule a call with them within 24 to 48 hours after them joining, a FaceTime chat with them. Or a Zoom call to get them in person, so that they see my face. We can connect that way. If you're communicating training through Facebook Messenger with people, it's probably 9 times out of 10 why they are disconnected and falling off. I'm just saying, because that can't be a source of communication. Like, I mean, quickly, like for chatting and sending texts and stuff like that, I think it's good. But as far as like, now you have a consultant on your team, you have to really coach them and guide them. You can't be doing that through text message or Facebook Messenger. It has to be connection. So yeah, so I have them do the first things first checklist, and then 24 to 48 hours after that, I get on a call with them, and then this is where I kind of touch on, I don't really go into too much with them right away. Like I said, I used to explain a lot on my consultant calls, but now all I do is I go over, like I take out the first things first checklist, I have it printed out, and I first ask them, and I say, so were you able to, touch on your checklist? Did you have any questions right off the bat that I can answer for you? You don't even have to go through the whole list with them, but like most of the time they're going to be like, oh yeah, no, I started it. I did the workstation tour or whatever, but making sure that they do that first. Okay. That's crucial. Also talking to them about their home launch party, if you haven't already during the recruiting process, but more than likely if you have, their launch party date should be set. And then I usually kind of like give them ideas for their launch party. So I'll quickly talk to them about like, make sure you have a booking game. This is a sponsoring game I like to play, kind of thing like that. Because again, if they're not making money, they're more than likely gonna fall off. So you want to find a way to teach them how to do that through booking parties and obviously sponsoring conversations as that goes along. But just making sure that you're getting them set up. So I touch on that, and then I also touch on Shooting Star, Sensational Start, and getting certified. I give all of my new consultants a 30-day challenge to get certified within 30 days, okay? If they do that, I give them a free set of mini testers. More than likely, if they're certifying in 30 days, they're hitting their Shooting Star. And every time someone that you sponsor hits their Shooting Star, you get a free set of, or you get a $25 product credit to use. So I take that $25 product credit and I invest it back into my business and in them, and I give them the free set of mini testers. And that's just like a personal goal that I do. Once they've joined, I ask them, or I tell them, like, if you certify within 13 days of or 30 days of enrollment, I give you a free set of mini testers. And they're like, oh, okay. And obviously I tell them what mini testers are good for, parties and things like that. That's going to be good. What else do I do? So I actually have a little checklist here. So this document, I'd be more than happy to upload it. It's just like a consultant profile sheet that I created like a few months ago. But it basically has information for their name, their address, phone number, things like that, their launch party date, their Shooting Star date, their 30th day, their 70th day, what their occupation is, whenever they've promoted, like, so you can start mark it off, like if they're a certified consultant or a lead consultant. And then on the back, I have like a little checklist of kind of like a process of what I go over on our training call. Honestly, I don't really stick to it that like cookie cutter, but I use it as like just a guide for myself in case I've ever been like, oh yeah, make sure I talk to them about this. Like, it's just like a little reminder. I mean, it's a Word document, so I could upload this and then you guys can switch it around and edit it to whatever, works for you. But just to maybe give you a guideline of some things that I do. And then here on this side, these are some questions that I ask them. So like, what days are best for you to hold parties? What's the number one challenge you'll think you're facing? I think that that's a huge question to ask people when they're joining or after they join. And, you can ask those things because you want to know, what do you think is your biggest struggle? Like, what do you think your biggest challenge is going to be in this business? Most of the time, they're going to tell you booking parties. They're going to be like, oh, meeting people, or I don't think I'm going to be able to book parties, or even sometimes you even hear recruiting. But for the most part, I hear people say, oh, just getting out there, getting my name out there and booking parties. And then when they say that, that's sort of when you can be like, well, you definitely can book parties. The more parties you start to do, the more you start to know people. And then you can go into all the different ways that they can find ideas on booking parties and all this other stuff, but really finding out what they think their struggle is so that you could help them overcome it. Because if they are battling that struggle and they don't get to it, like they don't overcome that struggle, they're going to give up. Because they're going to be like, oh yeah, I was right. I didn't think I could book parties and I'm not doing it. So it looks like this business sucks and now I'm going to quit. Things like what motivates you, what's the best date for their launch party. And then this is another thing too. I always try and get them thinking about their list of 100. I don't really call it a list of 100, but like I really get them thinking about the people who are in their circle. Like, who's in your circle right now? Who could you invite to your launch party? I really get them thinking about it instead of like just assuming that nobody creates their list of 100. Did any of you create your list of 100? Exactly. I didn't create my list of 100 either. Nobody creates their list of 100. So if you're sitting here waiting for waiting for consultants and assuming that they're creating a list of 100, they're not, which means they're not thinking about the people in their circle. They're not thinking about who they can invite to parties. So this is why when I get them on the call, I ask them, like, who are some people in your circle right now that you can invite to your launch party? Do you have a mother-in-law, friends, whoever, like who's in your circle? And then I also ask them, like, who do they think would be good hosts for them? Like, who do you think you have in your circle who might want to host a party for you, like after your launch party? Like somebody who can open you to a whole new network of people, like maybe invite one of your friends who is not necessarily in your same circle, because that's really what's going to help them branch out. And even ask them too, who do you think in your circle is somebody who would like to do this with you? You can definitely ask that right off the bat. I always introduce sponsoring to people right away because they can sponsor right away, and that's going to ultimately be the best thing for them. Of course, if they're just like looking to do a hobby, this is why you want to know what expectations they want out of this. But if they're literally looking to just like do this for a hobby, you know, that's why I said it's not so cookie cutter, because every situation is different. Every person's different. So these are just kind of like a guideline of some things that I ask, but I may not necessarily ask them every single time. Okay. What are the expectations of their, you know, the income that they're looking to get out of this business? How much time they're looking to dedicate, things like that. And then I just have like a little section for notes. So every time I follow up with them, I write down the date and I kind of touched on what we talked about. Because again, as your business grows, it's going to get hard to keep track of all this stuff. And I'll tell you guys, I have an awesome team binder. I did a video. It was on the Boss Babe Leaders, I think it was. If not, I could try and find the video and I'd be more than happy to upload it. But I have a team binder here, and this is something that I waited like 2 years to put together. And since I've done that, I feel a lot more in the know about my team. Like I feel like I know when people are certifying, and yes, you can go and run a report on your performance tab, but I don't know, for me personally, like it helps for me to write things down and like see it and stuff like that. So I can try and find that video and upload it to the Accelerated Leadership so you guys can see it. So that's pretty much like my little mentor guide thingy. My mentor guide thingy. And then I also I used to do like a new consultant call once a month, but since Scentsy started they do like a welcome call now with consultants when they join. So I actually don't do my new consultant call anymore. Like I used to do it for my whole downline, but like I said, I don't do it anymore only because Scentsy has that thing, but I still will refer to it from time to time. So I actually have a training that I did on my new consultant one, which I will upload for you guys too. But this literally goes over, I mean, this is probably a little overkill with some things that they need to know. But it talks to them about like staying engaged in trainings and making sure that they are, you know, checking their emails and their news tab. I let them know about monthly team calls that are going on and stuff like that. So that's another thing too. If you're a director like Ashley, myself, or Colleen, and right now your team is a little bit smaller, you know, until you're at a point where you're conducting monthly trainings yourself, it is very important that you are keeping your new consultants engaged with trainings, whether it's Scentsy trainings or your director's trainings or whatever, because people need to be plugged in at all times. So if you have new people come on, like as a sponsor and as their leader, unless you're conducting those calls, I feel you should let them know, like, hey, listen, my director runs a call, or Scentsy has training calls every Tuesday. Like that is that's huge. They need to know about the training calls every Tuesday. And I always tell them like, hey, they give prizes on those calls. You're going to want to get on there, you know, because they do. But you know, keeping them engaged with things like that. So I have their launch party. Okay. I also go to their launch party, like if they're local. If they're not local and they're having the launch party, I'll send them a text message on their launch party day and I'll say, hey girl, I'm so excited. I know it's your launch party today. Just want to let you know I'm thinking about you. Hope you rock it. Take lots of pictures or whatever. Making sure you're remembering the fact that they're having a launch party. If I do go to their launch party, I usually will bring them a little gift. Sometimes I will stop at like the grocery store and get like a small bouquet of flowers and bring them like celebratory flowers for their launch party. I know it sounds crazy, but every time I do that, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Like they like to feel appreciated and things like that. But you know, at their launch party, making sure that they're the one doing it, but I'm there to kind of talk to their guests in case they get stuck on a question or anything like that. I don't do their launch party for them unless we've like flipped the party. Then of course I'm doing it. But other than that, I'm just there for kind of moral support. After their launch party, you want to make sure, because this is where I faulted for a long time. I'd have the launch party and then there was no communication after that. And then I noticed people were falling off a lot. So now I make sure that I'm checking in with them, maybe about like a week later or a few days to a week after their launch party. I'm checking in with them and I'm, you know, asking them how things are going. Like, you know, were they able to close out the party kind of thing? Like, I mean, I know I can run a report and see it on my workstation, but, you know, making sure that they're staying on top of their business. So checking in with them, asking how things are going, ask them how their list of 100 is coming along. Was there anybody who booked a party? Like things that I know are going to literally make them money. And then just keep checking in with them every now and then. I don't really have like a set, like, amount of days that I'm checking in with people. On this little form that I created, there's like a mark for like a 1 week, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, where you can kind of mark off dates that you're checking in with them. But for the most part, every week or a couple of weeks when they're new consultants, in their first 30 to 70 days, and making sure that I am, just checking in with them and seeing how things are going and revisiting their goals with them. Like if I recently had someone who like booked a fundraiser or had a fundraiser in the works from her launch party. So I knew, and I made a note of it. So I knew that when I checked in with her in like a week or two later, I'd say to her, oh, I know you had that fundraiser set up. Were you ever able to get that booked? Do you need any ideas on fundraising? Kind of thing, like reigniting that so that they're like, oh yes, I do. I actually have to follow up with the girl. Or a lot of times you'll find that when you do things like that, like I'll ask people, hey, listen, you had a girl at your launch party who seems super interested in the business opportunity. I would definitely talk to her about it, because especially if I'm at a launch party, I know who's going to be interested in the business opportunity. So I'm making sure that I'm kind of like sparking that in their minds, like, hey, I think that person would be good. Did you ever, maybe you should talk to her about it. And then when you later then chat with her, you can say, I know you had that girl on your list as far as like your dream team list or whatever. Were you able to follow up with her? And usually they'll be like, oh yeah, no, I have to follow up with her soon or whatever. I know that she said she wanted to, but I have to follow up with her. And then I kind of remind them again. And I'm like, well, now would be a good time because it's the fall, or now would be a good time because we have an awesome join special, whatever reason is at that moment, or now would be a good time just because you haven't checked in a couple weeks or whatever. So always keeping it present on their mind. Like I said, guys, I talk to them about sponsoring like it's nobody's business, and I never used to do that until I was like, that's what's going to be the ultimate thing that's going to help them grow their business. That's why I'm not afraid to tell them that they can do that now. But I'm also giving them confidence, and I'm letting them know that they can do these things through me, me encouraging them and things like that. So I don't want to run too short. I'm going to let Ashley talk to you guys about income producing activities, because that is going to be ultimately the best thing for them. Like I said, if they're not making money right away, like, they're going to give up. It is what it is. But I am going to upload these just so you guys know. It's my monthly new consultant training call that I used to do with my consultants. I'm going to upload this on here for you guys, and then I'm going to upload the consultant mentor guide. And then this is another one. It's like a very simple how to train your new consultants, like just certain things that they should know. I think Kristen Ingalls made this. It might be like on our team page, the Real Consultants, but either way, I'll upload this too for you guys as well. Okay, so you guys have that there. But yeah, Ashley, go ahead, take it away. Oops, go ahead.
I think we both hit it at the same time. My bad. So some of the stuff I'm going to talk about is going to kind of go off of what Patty had to say as well. But how many of you feel like you need to tweak some stuff that you're doing? Even myself. And I want you guys to know that's valid. Like, it's something, sponsoring is something, not just the recruiting aspect of it, but actually training new consultants is something that you're going to have to fine tune all the time. And it's something that I'm actually struggling with now. But I want you to know it's not a direct reflection of who you are as a leader. Some people, like Patty mentioned, are fast learners. Some people need a little bit more guidance and direction, and through relationship building and really knowing their why and getting them to sit down and establish what their goals are, where you're really going to find where you need to love people a little bit more. Jennifer Anderson has instilled that in us as we've grown in leaders. It's something that you always have to think about, is how can I love this person better? Because 9 times out of 10, people that leave you are, like Patty said, people that don't make the money right off the bat, or 2, they don't feel valued. They've had people that gave up on them their whole life, and they feel like you're giving up on them too, when in reality, they've been struggling in silence and haven't said a word because they're embarrassed or ashamed. But it's our job to try to recognize those signals so we can intervene and love them better. But there is a time where you have to say, okay, I've done all I can do. And when it gets to that point, know that it's okay. All right? You've done all you can. And sometimes a Scentsy business is just not for everybody. And that's okay. So when we're starting them off strong, we obviously already know their why. That's something you established in the recruiting process. Okay? Duplication is going to be where you teach them to do the things that they are going to teach their teams, which are your income producing activities. That's where we're teaching them how to start with their goals and go ahead and do that launch party like Patty was talking about right off the bat. Reaching their shooting star, teaching them how to do bookings, teaching them how to follow up with their customers, teaching them how to recruit, which is going to teach them to do the same as they grow their team grows their teams, and so on and so forth. That's how your organization is going to grow. That is how you are going to make money, through
Can I just touch on
duplication.
one thing, Ashley? I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. How she talks about like making sure you're teaching them about booking parties, teaching them about recruiting and things like that. That doesn't mean you have to sit there and hold everyone's hand over, sitting down and being like, so this is how I book my parties.
No.
Why you have resources. You have Scentsy Trainings, the training center. You have YouTube. You have the team page. I mean, heck, if you want to start feeling frisky and start making your own, for it to be frisky or funky, whatever, making your own like YouTube channel to start training your own team. Honestly, guys, that's why I started it, so that I could, when I'm training people, I could be like, listen, here's a video on how I do my home parties, so that you're making it easier for yourself too as your group grows. And when you were showing people how to find answers rather than giving them the answers, it's going to be so much better for them. You're going to establish leaders that way, because they are going to find the answers on their own, instead of you being like, yeah, girl, this is how, I did this booking game at my party and blah, blah, blah. You don't need to tell them the booking game that you do at the launch party, but you need to tell them how booking games are important, why they're important, and where they could find lots of ideas for booking games, kind of thing. So anyway, sorry, Ashley, go ahead.
That's okay. And when you're showing them these things, that you're doing bookings, that you're following up, that you're recruiting new consultants, the majority of what we learn in this life is stuff that we see, not what we're told. It's by seeing, action, doing. That's what we learn. So you want to, like we talked about in a previous call, lead from the front. You never want to ask of your team what you yourself are not doing. So you're showing them the way, you're going the way, and they're going to model those behaviors. It's not because you're there to hold their hand. You're not. You're just working your business and showing them how you do so. And they're in turn going to do or follow suit. Okay? So with their launch party, when Patty talked about a list of 100, I didn't do a list of 100 because I wasn't told about a list of 100. I didn't even read my consultant startup guide from cover to cover. I didn't. I just got on my workstation, got on YouTube, just did it. I just did it. I didn't do my list of 100 until probably 2 months in. And your list of 100, really, I've had new consultants that I've sponsored that I've actually had do the list of 100. That's just to recognize what your warm market is, your people that you know, your people that aren't necessarily going to buy from you, people that are going to support you. It's important that they know that. People that will refer them. It doesn't necessarily have to be people that will host a party. And the majority of new consultants, that is a legitimate fear. I don't know enough people, and they need to know that that's validated. That's why that list of, say they can't come up with 100 people, that's fine. That's fine. We say all the time, 100 people, because we really do. But in our minds, that's a lot of people that they need to know, okay, it's not just people that you're close to. It includes your acquaintances. It includes your friends, your family members, your neighbors, people that you know through church. Anybody in your warm market is just people that you know that could support you or might support you in a way outside of sales. And that's what's going to lead them to their cold market, people that they don't know, that's going to continue to get their business to grow. Okay? Make sure that when they're having that launch party that you're telling them that they need to over-invite. They refer to that list. Not everybody's going to come. They don't just need to send a Facebook event and expect that everybody's going to show up. They need to be sending like written invitations, text messages, phone calls, and kind of help them prepare. Like Patty said, there's a list of party games on our workstation. There's tons of YouTube videos. You can just be like, hey, there's a great video. This is the purpose of a booking game. Check this out. I think you'll find it very helpful, kind of thing. That's all you have to do.
And then you can also check in with them after. So if you've kind of giving them like, you know, instructions or like, I hate saying delegating, but like you're giving them like a task to kind of do, you can check in with them and be like, hey girl, I know your launch party's coming up. How's the details coming along? Were you able to get a booking game? Like, you know, what's your guest list looking like? Kind of like the way you coach your host in a way.
Right.
In a way, it's sort of the same thing, checking with them and keeping it present on their mind too.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to have some consultants that you sponsor that aren't going to have a question in the world. Mm-hmm. They're going to have everything done. I remember my sponsor. I remember my sponsor calling me. She came to my launch party. She called me about an hour before. She's like, I can come on over if you need me to help set up. And I sent her a picture. I had my setup already done. Like, it was ready. Mind y'all, I painted my entire living room and my kitchen 24 hours before my launch party.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. It was amazing.
And when I have people like that, like, first of all, I love that because they're taking the reins. And again, that's that person in my eyes, like, I'm like, that's someone who I look out for because they're self-sufficient. They're people who literally take the reins on their own. And so a lot of times when I have people who do that, I'll be like, hey girl, just checking in. They'll be like, oh yeah, I already set it up. I got a booking game. I went on YouTube. I did this. And then I always say to them, I'm like, well, look at you. You're a pro already at this. Mm-hmm. Like giving them a little bit of encouragement about how awesome they're doing and how they're taking the reins on their own. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have where people will take the reins so much where you feel like you're not even doing enough. And then I don't know about you, Ashley, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm not even helping this person because they're like,
I feel that way a lot.
Yeah, they start to take it on their own, and then you start to get down on yourself as a sponsor, and you're like, oh my God, am I not helping this person enough? But like Ashley was saying, not everybody, every situation is different, and that is never a reflection upon you, like the way someone's performance is. You just have to know that as a sponsor that you're doing the best that you can by providing them with the resources that they need and things like that. And one more thing I just wanted to say, because I forgot to say before, in this checklist, like with things that I do, I also make a note, like I'm always running reports on my workstation. And if we didn't do this yet, right? I think we're going to have a call.
It's coming.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you guys like different reports and stuff that I do, but like I'm always running reports, and so I'm always checking my new consultants, and I'm always seeing who's close to shooting star and certified and things like that. And so like I'll make a note on this notepad or on this paper. Like I'll take a sticky note, and let's say I run a report, and today is November 5th, and this person is 300 PRV away from certified, right? Like she's had her launch party, she's at her shooting star, but I keep a note of it and I run the report essential to certified or whatever, and it says that she's 300 PRV from certified. I make a sticky note and I put it right on here so that when I'm flipping through my binder, I can see it and I can say, oh, on November 5th, she was about 300 PRV away from certified, so that I can then check in with her, if I know some time has passed, because people could be sitting at certified for freaking years. So, that's why I always like put the date when they're close. And two, you want to get them to certified, obviously. That's going to help them. And of course, it's going to count for you for annual mentor. If we're in incentive season, it's going to help you as well. But just making sure that they're getting set up on the right track by hitting their new consultant goals. That's huge. So it's one goal after another. I don't really I explain some details about Sensational Start and things like that with them when I'm talking to them about the new consultant goals. But for the most part, like I said, I spoon feed it. We're going to talk about 500 in your first 15 days. Once they do that, I touch on what the goals are, but until they've hit Shooting Star, then I can really knuckle down with them and be like, okay, let's get you certified now. Like, what are, we had your launch party, what are some, ways that we can get some parties on your calendar? Or do you have any open dates available that maybe you could do another party, follow up with someone who expressed an interest or something like that? Keeping it present on their mind. I also make sure to tell them to announce their business on Facebook, even though that sounds so like first world problems. Like, they have to announce it on Facebook. And I always challenge them to go live with their starter kit on Facebook, because they're probably not going to want to do it. But I always I tell them, like, video is going to connect you to everything. And this all comes back to you guys too. Okay. If you're not comfortable doing that yet, I know it's tough. But again, if you don't do the things that make you scared, then you can't evolve from that. And you can't expect other people to do that either. You can't expect them to evolve from it. But I will tell you, aside from all of this, video is going to connect you in so much more than any other random post on Facebook is going to. And your consultants come into this and they see you posting on Facebook about buy 5, get the 6 for free, or shop my website, guess what? That's what they're going to start doing. So you have to set the example of how to run your business efficiently without posting on Facebook. I went live on my team page the other day, just like a random live video, and I was talking to them about how I could literally hit 2,000 PRV in 1 month without even posting on Facebook if I didn't have to. I only post on Facebook just for the sake of posting, so people still know I sell Scentsy, and to market my business, of course. But everything that I do for my business is off of Facebook through follow-up and booking parties on my calendar. That's how I hit 2,000 PRV, and I don't care about Facebook. And sometimes I have moments where I'm like, man, I didn't post on Facebook. Oh my gosh, I gotta go put up a post. But guess what? People see me doing that, and I talk to my team about that's what I do. So ultimately, your team's going to mirror everything that you do. And if they see you coming into this and you're being spammy on Facebook and that's how you're running your business, that's how they're going to run their business too. Okay. So really make sure when you're having these calls with your new consultants, again, they're the most impressionable, getting them set up and really helping them think about how they could do these income producing, things, which are booking parties, having sponsoring conversations, and following up. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the best thing that they could do for their business.
Mm-hmm. And when you start that off from the beginning, if they're having that launch party right off the bat, not waiting 2 months, the 3rd month when they're up for cancellation, guys, getting them a first paycheck that they are proud of, like letting them drink the Scentsy Kool-Aid right off the bat, getting their investment back right off the bat, which they're going to do if they get Shooting Star. Mm-hmm. That is really important. And once you do that, you have to stay connected, just like Patty was talking about. If you're finding that connection isn't there, you've got to change your mindset. Something is not working. How are you going to stay connected? You're going to keep in touch with them, maybe once a month. I like to talk to my frontline people that I sponsor at least once a month. They don't always want to talk to me, and that's okay. The point is that I try. Okay? Stay in contact with them. Touch the base about their income producing activities. Find out what their goals are. What's their action plan to get there? Maybe you need to follow up with them mid-month to see where they're at. You're their mentor.
And even just a random text message here and
yes.
there, it doesn't always have to be, those are great, finding out their goals, revisiting, I think that's huge and important. But sometimes just a quick text, like I said before, I had a girl who went live on Facebook and was doing awesome. And she had all these views, and I texted her and I was like, oh my gosh, girl, I love your live video. I love seeing your views. It's awesome. Even though live video is not income producing, but it's something that I saw confidence in her, in her video. And so I made sure to tell her about that. Mm-hmm. Just even a quick, recognition is going to be the biggest thing that you can do for your team. And again, it doesn't have to cost anything. You can just,
if you notice you have a team member that's active, send them a silly GIF. way to go. You're active this month. If they're 500 PRB or above when you pull a report, and shout them out. Like I know Patty does Team Tuesdays or Wahoo Wednesdays, whatever. I do Team Tuesdays on my team page, and I'll shout people out. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just like she said earlier, recognition is free and people love it. Like my love language is words of affirmation. So staying connected, whether that be through something simple to, your meetings, team meetings. Are you having a call or a meeting on a regular basis? Establishing that culture, that's going to be the glue that's going to keep your team together. And people start, like Patty said, for the money, but they're going to stay for the friendships. Like right now, I'm more afraid of what my life would look like without Scentsy because of the relationships that I've built with the business. Like if something were to happen and Scentsy were to close its doors, it ain't going to happen. But I'm just saying, like Patty and I will always have a relationship. You and I will always have a relationship because you're a part of my life, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? But that's going to be the glue. And when your team sees that you're doing these things, they're in turn going to do those things as well. And it's never too soon to start having like a sample Sunday or whatever kind of team hangout you want to do. If you're having a barbecue at your house, or you just go and drink a glass of wine with your girls, or have a coffee date on a Saturday morning, or a play date with the kids. You don't even have to talk about Scentsy. That's the glue that's going to keep you guys together. Maybe they need an accountability partner. That doesn't necessarily have to be you. You know what I mean? Yes, you're their sponsor. Yes, you're there if they have any questions or whatever, but maybe they might have a connection. Like say my director is great, but maybe I connect with Patty in a different way. Patty might be my accountability partner. You know what I'm saying? There's no rhyme or reason to it, but maybe you just need somebody to help hold you accountable. Continuously build that culture. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say that's partially too why we decided to join forces, the three of us, with our you guys as our leaders who we see as people who deserve to be here. Like we felt like it would be so good for you guys to connect here. Like we're doing this on a weekly basis for the next 12 weeks. We're all seeing each other every Sunday. By now we're starting to get familiar with each other's faces and who they are. And then that's how you make those connections. I mean, this is kind of irrelevant to our call, but like that's where events, Scentsy events like reunion and leadership and the trips, obviously, like that's where you make the connections. I mean, Ashley and I, Disney, we actually like really got to know each other. But I mean, well, Disney, we got to know each other. We like actually met. But then I felt like in what was it? No, it was Nashville. Yeah, it was in reunion in Nashville. And then New York, we roomed together and we just like sealed the deal with us. But like in Nashville, that's
official now.
In Nashville, that was like we literally shed tears with each other. We were like, like, I mean, reunion will do that to you anyway, but like that's where we made our connection. And so I think it's important too, as you're bringing on new consultants, that they understand the importance of getting together, whether it's a Scentsy event or whether it's like team hangouts or trainings or the team page, and just being engaged on that and making friends. Because again, people are going to join for the money, but they're going to stay because they feel loved and connected in some way or another. So anyway, so I think that's pretty much all I got, unless you have anything else, Ashley, you want to add?
Good.
All right. Do you guys have any questions before we go over homework challenge? Homework challenge. If you guys do, please don't be afraid to ask. We want to know. Anybody? Raise your hand because you're all muted. All right. Okay, cool. So I see, wait, hold on. There's questions here. Oh, wait. The info. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I was just reading the questions you guys put in before. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to post all these things that I do here. Okay, so your challenge this week, your homework challenge, I love calling it that. Your homework challenge this week is we want you guys to conduct a new consultant call, a new consultant training call with your new consultant. So you may or may not have had somebody join your team, and not just someone you sponsor, like in your downline, okay, in the past 30 days, let's say. But even if they didn't, like if you don't have any new consultants that you think would benefit from like the stuff that we talked about here today, we want you guys to conduct a call with your team and teach them kind of like what we went over or how you're going to train new consultants kind of thing. So if you don't have any newbies, or if you're feeling like bold and brave and you want to do both, you can go ahead and train your newbies and train your team if you want, and how to train the newbies or whatever. But it's very important to kind of make sure that your new consultants are on the right track. So I actually myself, it's so funny that we did this call at this time, because I totally didn't even plan this out, but for like my team, my downline, on Monday is our monthly team call that we do. And so I'm actually going to be doing a train your new consultants, because we've had so many people join recently, and I find that like the more the people join, some people just don't know how to train their consultants effectively. And so a lot of times people come in and, you know, it's just a cycle that you see. So that's why I was like, I need to do a call for my whole team and teach them all how to train their new consultants. So you can do that too. Okay. If you don't have any new people who you can actually get on a call and train your team how to train them kind of thing. Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll put up the post, and then you could do it either. I suggest doing it through Zoom. If you sign up for Zoom, you can, all of you probably have the account anyway because you're on here, but you sign up for Zoom, it's free. I think there's like a paid version, but you can just access it for free. You create a meeting link. It's very self-explanatory, and then you share the link with them. I suggest doing Zoom just because they can see your face like this. And not for nothing, like I feel like what new consultants do, it in a way pulls them out of their comfort zone a bit, because they probably don't want to get on camera in front of you, and they probably don't, like FaceTime is weird at first with people, especially not really familiar with them. They're going to be like, I've had times people get on FaceTime and they're like, their face is like over here and I'm talking to them. But again, it's going to pull them out a little bit. So I suggest Zoom, but you can do, there's also freeconferencecall.com. I used to run my new consultant training calls on that. It's just like literally a free conference call. People dial in and you can talk, and nobody sees you, but you know, do it however. But I suggest Zoom. So we'll have the post up. And then next week, we are talking all about building and identifying leaders, which is probably one of my favorite topics ever. And that's where we're really going to knuckle down and talk to you guys about how to really dig into those people. Okay. So anyway, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. We're so happy to see your faces every Sunday. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye guys. You have a great week.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.